Okay, all right. So let's see how we go. Okay. All right. Well, so welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today. So as Whitney's already said, my name's Bridie. I'm the Study Abroad Coordinator for La Trobe University. So I look after all the students coming in for a semester. Okay, and so what we've got coming up next here on our next slide is an acknowledgement of country. So you'll see this a lot in Australia as well too. This is our acknowledgement of the Indigenous lands that we live on the Bundoora campus in Melbourne. So I'll just read this out. So La Trobe University acknowledges that this event and our participants are located on the lands of many traditional custodians in Australia. We recognise their ongoing connection to the land and value their unique contribution to the university and the wider Australian society. We pay our respects to Indigenous elders, past, present and emerging, and extend this respect to any Indigenous participants joining us online today. Okay, if you can see the slide at the moment, you can see the eagle picture there. That's Bunyal. That's the creator in the Wurundjeri culture, which is where Bundoora is located. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about the university as well too. So today, my presentation takes about 20 minutes. I'll talk about the campuses where study abroad students can study with us, a little bit about Australia as well too, and about the courses that you can take with us as well. So La Trobe University is a statewide university for the state of Victoria. We have 7 campuses. 3 of those study abroad students can study at. So students can study at our Bendigo campus, which is a regional city, our Bundoora Melbourne campus, which is our main campus, and our city centre campus as well if you're doing postgraduate studies. We have over 34,000 students at our campuses and 8,000 international students from over 110 countries, so really multicultural. And that's Australia in general as well. Australia is a very multicultural country, has a really long history of immigration as well. A little bit of our rankings as well too. So La Trobe is ranked in the top 1% of universities worldwide. So not only is it a fantastic experience to come and live in Australia for 4 or 5 months, but you'll get a really good academic experience too. So we are ranked in quite a few different study areas as well too. So we are ranked in the top 100 in the world for nursing, philosophy, archaeology, and sports sciences as well too. So I know a lot of students take sports management as well. So really great subjects that you can take in those areas. Okay, a little bit about Australia as well too. So Australia gets called a young country, which it's not. Its colonial history is just over 200 years, but Indigenous Australians have been here for over 60,000 years. The land itself is ancient. Australia holds the oldest continental crust on Earth. Researchers confirmed that some of the hills and rocks formations are 4.4 billion years old. So what this means for the country is why we have so much desert landscape. It's not very fertile soil. You only have that on the coastal areas. So what you have is you end up with 80% of Australia's population lives on just the east coast of Australia in just Melbourne and Sydney. And then you have this huge expansive area where there's very few people at all. A little bit again about multiculturalism. 49% of Australians were born overseas, so at least one parent who was born overseas and moved to Australia. And we have a population of just 23 million. So Australia is about the same size as the US. But as I said before, 80% of the population lives in just Melbourne and Sydney, and then the rest is very few people at all. So population of LA spread out across the entire US is our population density, just to give you an idea there. I've got a great little map that hopefully will come up in a second that shows you a little bit of our climate regions, just to give you an idea. I know the image of Australia is very much the desert. You can see here, they've got the comparison Sahara Desert. India is the northern part of Australia. And then the blue down the very bottom is the southeastern states where we're located. This is Victoria, and its climate is kind of comparable to the San Francisco Bay Area, to give you an idea there. there. So in summer, temperatures are usually between 57 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit, but most days they get up to about 86 Fahrenheit. So quite nice, hot, warm summers. Our winters, we think they're cold, but generally they only go, usually the average in winter is about 57 degrees Fahrenheit. So not really that cold at all for you guys. Okay, jumping across here. All right, so I've got another map that's come up here just to show you the state of Victoria is in red when it pops up. So Victoria is the smallest state in Australia. And that is where the majority of our campuses are located, to give you an idea. So Melbourne itself is right on the very southern end of Australia. And I can tell you a lot about La Trobe University as well too, because I'm actually a graduate from there as well. So I did my bachelor's degree at La Trobe and I did my postgraduate studies there as well. So I studied at the Bundoora Melbourne campus. So as I've mentioned before, the Melbourne Bundoora campus is our main campus and it's our biggest campus as well too. So it has about 260 hectares of parklands and waterways. It's the largest metropolitan campus in Australia. So it's a really beautiful, big campus. I actually grew up in the country and I moved down to Melbourne to go to university. I was very much a country girl. I really wanted to come and live in Melbourne, but I didn't want to be in an apartment or anything like that. And I loved the Trobe campus because there's so much bushland there, lots of wildlife, and this beautiful open spaces. So I absolutely loved it. I think it's a stunning campus. It has a really good student feel. It's a good cultural campus as well too. Lots of events and things happening on it. Has cafes and shops. The library is the centre of the university. So lots of students during their breaks between classes will catch up for a coffee and things like that. So it makes for a really good community feel. And I think that's a real strength of La Trobe University. We also have a Sunday market, food truck Wednesdays, where a different food truck comes every Wednesday. And really fantastic facilities as well too. So really fantastic investment in some of our new facilities that I'll show you some photos of as well if they pop up, hopefully. We'll just jump through them now. So some of the facilities we have, our Institute for Molecular Sciences, which is for our biological sciences, for cancer research, but it's also where a lot of our laboratory classes are held as well. So really fantastic modern laboratories for students to study in. Our Agri-Biosciences building as well too, one of our newest ones there. This is a joint precinct with the Department of Primary Industries as well, the main agricultural research body with the government. So really fantastic industry ties there. So again, excellent facilities and excellent research ties. Our library, of course, which is the centre of the university, which also has a cafe inside, so you can get a coffee as well while you're studying. We also have a brand new $150 million sports park redevelopment. It includes a soccer pitch, a football pitch, a swimming pool and gym, group exercise classes, basketball, netball, tennis courts, everything there. It even has an outdoor rock climbing wall as well. So really fantastic facilities for students to use there. And we have lots of sporting clubs and societies as well for students that you can join, including intervarsity competitions and things like that as well. We also have a wildlife sanctuary on campus as well too. So our wildlife sanctuary is 30 hectares of bushland just on the campus, and it's used by a lot of our classes as well too. So if you're studying in biological sciences, environmental studies, a lot of the laboratories take place in the wildlife sanctuary. So you'll go out and do field sampling there. There's waterways there and everything, wildlife management, all sorts of things like that. Students can also volunteer at the wildlife sanctuary. So even if you're not in one of those study areas, you can volunteer your time to help out at the wildlife sanctuary. They need help with things like land management, wildlife monitoring, all sorts of things like that. They also do tours of the wildlife sanctuary, including twilight tours. A lot of Australian wildlife is nocturnal. So they do tours where you can go out and see all about possums and things like that. Our possums are very different to opossums as well too. I point out they're not related at all. Okay, so I'm going to talk a bit about Melbourne as well too, because I imagine quite a few of you are keen on studying in Melbourne itself, and because it's a fantastic city. So Melbourne is ranked the second most livable city in the world. We were #1 for the last 7 years. We lost our top spot last year. Hopefully we get it back. But we are also the third best student city in the world and #1 in Australia. So again, I mentioned before, not only is a really fantastic place to come and study for academically, but it's a really great cultural experience as well too. There's lots to see, lots to do, really fantastic city to live in. It's absolutely beautiful. I love Melbourne. As I said before, I came from the country to come and study, and I ended up staying. So I can definitely recommend. So Melbourne is considered the cultural capital of Australia. So it has lots of live music, cafes, restaurants, bars, sporting events, lots of festivals and events happening all year round. Any excuse for a festival, Melbourne will have one. Last year there was 2 festivals alone just for cheese. There's always lots of food festivals. There was a dumpling festival, and White Night as well too is a really big art festival that happens each year as well, and that's a highlight for a lot of students, so I really recommend that. Melbourne itself has about 4.9 million people, so quite small compared to a lot of US cities, but it's the second biggest city in Australia, so just a little bit smaller than Sydney. It's growing incredibly fast. It probably will be bigger than Sydney in a couple of years' time, I imagine. Okay, and a little bit about Bendigo as well too. So we have the option for study abroad students to study at our Bendigo campus. Bendigo has a population of about 100,000, and it's about a 2-hour train ride from Melbourne. So this is a fantastic campus they teach visual arts, creative arts, business, nature tourism, outdoor education, and outdoor recreation as well too. So they have a really big outdoor education college there. So I'll talk a lot about their subjects as well in a bit too. Okay, a little bit about student support services as well. So as a study abroad student, you have access to everything that our full degree students and domestic students have access to. So this includes a free airport pickup. So when you arrive, we will pick you up from the airport and take you to anywhere you're staying in Melbourne, straight to the campus as well. So we look after you as soon as you arrive. We have lots of orientation help and subject enrolments. Orientation is the week before classes start, much like when you started your degree as well too in the US. So there'll be lots of events and activities, clubs, sign-ups and things like that happening. We also have a learning hub with peer learning advisors. This is a drop-in centre for help with any of your studies. So they can help you out with assignment writing, with referencing. They even have maths and statistics help as well too. They can help you out with that. Really fantastic services there. We also have career and employability service. Really fantastic service here. A lot of the local students aren't aware of this service, and we really encourage any students to use it. They can help you out with resume writing, help you with employment advice as well too, career counselling, all sorts of things like that. We have an on-campus medical clinic as well too. And of course, we have our Trobe Student Union. The Student Union is responsible for all of our clubs and societies. We have over 90 clubs and societies that students can join. As I mentioned, orientation is where you'll meet a lot of those clubs for sign-ups, and they'll tell you a bit about what they do. I really highly recommend joining a club as well. Fantastic experience, really great way to meet a lot of other students, especially local students, and a lot of fun as well too. I was involved in the environmental club and I was involved in student theatre when I was a student there. Really recommend student theatre at La Trobe. It is really, really fantastic program. Really, really adventurous, and they do a lot of really different things as well too. And they have a festival at the start of semester as well too. Encourage you to go see some of their plays. Okay, so we also have dedicated student counsellors as well, just for international students as well too, that can look after you. They do face-to-face appointments and phone appointments as well. Of course, we have LGBTIQA support services, and we also have a 24/7 student support helpline as well. And of course, we have an alumni network. So our study abroad students can join our student alumni network as well. So you can be connected to La Trobe even after you graduate as well. And there's lots of benefits with being an alumni. Okay, a little bit about the on-campus accommodation as well. So we have quite a few different accommodation options. We have 3 main colleges on the Bundoora campus, the Bundoora Melbourne campus, Chisholm College, Menzies College and Glen College. Glen College is our college where there is a dinner meal plan as well, 7 days a week. Our other colleges as well too, Chisholm College and Menzies College, are really popular. All colleges in Australia pretty much are co-educational, and all rooms are single bedroom. So you don't share a bedroom, but you'd share your kitchen and bathroom facilities. And there's really fantastic facilities as well on the campus accommodation. Menzies has an on-site gym, its own sauna room, and even an esports gaming room. Of course, 24-hour computer lab access, free barbecue facilities as well. Australia has a very outdoor lifestyle. So you'll see barbecues around everywhere. Most parks and beaches will have a free barbecue that you can use. So really fantastic if you want to have like a picnic or something like that, you can use one of the barbecues there, which is really fantastic. So all of the colleges have free barbecue facilities too. And they do lots of events on the colleges as well for student meetups and things like that where they use those facilities. Free laundry facilities as well, TV rooms and lounge spaces. There is a student bar with restaurant as well. And of course, we have student leaders living on campus as well, and a campus bus that travels around the campus, and it travels at night as well too. So it can drop you off at the tram stop and the train station as well. Okay, we have a new accommodation coming next year as well. We've got 2 new buildings currently being built, and that's going to add an additional 624 beds to our colleges. The new buildings will comprise of those single bedrooms, but it will also have 4, 5 and 6 bedroom apartments as well for students if sharing an apartment with other students is something you're interested in. Okay, a little bit about our study abroad subjects as well that you can choose from. So we have over 2,000 subjects you can select. There is plenty of study options as well. You can choose 3 or 4 subjects, of course, and from a variety of different areas. So lots from business and economics, creative arts. We're really big in archaeology, anthropology, Aboriginal studies as well, Indigenous studies, engineering, information technology, languages, health sciences is another really big area for us too. And of course, sciences as well. So statistics, sports sciences, zoology, lots of different study areas there. If you have electives in your current degree as well, you can choose subjects from different disciplines as well. So you can choose something that maybe complements your study. So for example, maybe you're studying marketing and maybe you want to do maybe on the side some social media studies or something like that, something that complements, or psychology. Okay, so I've listed here the top 10 study abroad subjects that we have. These are the subjects that most of our students like to choose. Australia, the Myths That Made Us is our most popular subject. Half of our study abroad students take this subject. So this is kind of an overview subject that's made specifically for study abroad students that has a focus on learning about Australia via our TV, movies, literature, all sorts of things like that. So really fantastic cultural understanding of Australia and history, and really interesting subject. That is going to be available for our next semester online. So students who are interested can take maybe one subject online as part of their studies. So maybe if you're coming in our July semester, you might want to do a subject about Australia beforehand. You can do that. Some of the other popular subjects we have are Australian literature, bioethics and healthcare, social marketing, Australian fauna and ecology, and sports and exercise psychology is another really popular one. Okay, something unique to La Trobe as well too is we have a lot of subjects with really fantastic field trips incorporated into them. So I've listed here, if it pops up, you'll see a slide that has kind of a night sky as the background. These are a list of subjects that have field courses incorporated into them. So some of them Bundoora and Melbourne ones, of course, we have a Mallee field course that goes out to the desert, conservation course to Wilson's Promontory National Park, alpine ecology that goes up to the mountain area in Victoria where we have snow. We have a really fantastic one for science students, marine animal physiology, which goes up to Heron Island on the Great Barrier Reef. So really fantastic courses there. I also have the Bendigo based one. So I mentioned before outdoor education. So they do lots of really cool little field trips there. So they do outdoor education field experiences. They do even a teaching in river environments, whitewater rafting. So that's an 8-day field trip out teaching whitewater rafting to students. So really fantastic there. So if you're studying at the Bendigo campus, there's some really neat subjects that you can take. Okay, so let me just give this a second to switch over. A little bit more about orientation. So I mentioned before that we have our orientation week as well for students as soon as they arrive. We also have a dedicated study abroad orientation session as well. So this session is where you'll get to meet a lot of the other study abroad students, and we'll go into more detail about what it's like studying in Australia, little fun things like learning Australian slang. A good tip, little bit of advice for Australian slang, we shorten everything. So afternoon becomes arvo, things like that. So we'll teach you a lot of things like that. We'll teach you about Indigenous Australia. We have an official Wurundjeri welcome ceremony. Wurundjeri is the local Indigenous group in the Melbourne area. So they have a welcome ceremony to campus for all of our students. For study abroad students, we also have a pre-orientation trip. So the week before orientation starts, we have a trip to the Great Ocean Road. This is a really fantastic overnight trip that you can take. Really great opportunity to start meeting students straight away, making new friends before your semester starts. It goes down to the Great Ocean Road. You may have heard of this. This is where the 12 Apostles are. And this is an absolutely beautiful area of Australia. Highly recommend. It's definitely one of the top things to see in Australia. It's a beautiful coastline, kind of like the Pacific West Coast. Really great drive up, studying like surf beaches and lots of bushland as well too. So on the trip, you'll take a surfing lesson as well too. And you get a chance to go bushwalking and see koalas in the wild as well too. So really fantastic trip there, and of course seeing the 12 Apostles at the end. So highly recommend joining the Great Ocean Road trip. In the second or third week of classes, we also do an overnight trip to Phillip Island as well too. Phillip Island is just south of Melbourne, so it's probably about a 2-hour drive. So also another really great place to go visit. And of course, orientation, I've mentioned before as well too, orientation week. There'll be lots of events and activities happening all over campus. You'll see lots of things, lots of sign-ups and lots of things to join there. Okay, so the second last slide we've got here is the important dates. This is to give you an idea of the semester dates. to give you an idea of where you can fit studying in Australia into your degree. So we have 2 main semesters at La Trobe University. So our semester 1 starts in February. So starts in our summer. So starts our hottest part of the year, going into our winter. So 21st February is orientation, going into late June for the end of exams. Semester 2, our next intake available for 2021. Orientation starts 19th of July and goes into our summer, so exams end in November. And of course, going into our Christmas is in summer, of course, which is a very, very different experience for you guys. Our Christmas is hot weather, Christmas on the beach, seafood, things like that. So very different experience. If you want to stay longer in Australia at the end of your semester, you can stay over that summer break, over New Year, maybe go to Sydney to see the fireworks, things like that. Each semester has a mid-semester break as well too, so a week-long break. In semester 2, the mid-semester break is in September. In semester 1, the mid-semester break is in April. This is a really great opportunity to travel out and visit other areas as well. Lots of students use this week to go visit Sydney or even New Zealand. So with your student visa as well, you get track time on either side of your semester as well. Usually you get 30 days before your classes start and about a month or 2 at the end of your semester as well. So if you've got time in between the start of your next semester back home, you might want to fit in a little bit of travel there. And this is a really good idea as well too. One of the reasons to come and do a semester in Australia is the size. You can't come to Australia for a week, you won't be able to see it all. It's a long flight as well too. So it's really great to come and spend 4 or 5 months and really experience the country and the culture as well. I've got a map there on that slide if it's popped up as well too, just to give you an idea. Australia is roughly the same size as the US, so it's a really big country. And it takes a long time to go see different things. And there's a lot to see. It's an absolutely beautiful country. Okay, the very last slide, if it pops up, has my contact details on there. So if you have any questions, of course, you can ask them in the chat and I will answer them after this, myself and Whitney. We will go through the questions. Or if you have questions later on, you can contact the Centre for Global Education, of course. Or if you want to speak to me directly, if you want to ask really detailed questions about Australia or questions about classes, you can email me on the email address there. We can provide this as well in the chat. You can book a Zoom meeting with me as well too. I'm always happy to chat to you guys, talk to you about the subjects and things that are available, and of course talk to you about Australia. Okay, so that's the end of my slide there. I will